When President Trump came to New Mexico in September, he declared the all-blue state in play for the 2020 election. The president was especially keen to attract Hispanic voters to his cause. Now, that rang hollow to the president of the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund, Thomas Saenz, as general counsel for MALDEF. Saenz is familiar with New Mexico. Our full interview airs in a couple of weeks, but in this segment, he speaks with correspondent Russell Contreras about that likelihood of President Trump making inroads in the Hispanic electorate.
Tom, thanks for joining us. Recently, President Donald Trump came to New Mexico and he reiterated his thoughts that he wanted to capture the Latino vote this time, or capture New Mexico. What are Donald Trump's chances of making inroads with Latino voters?
Without a dramatic turnaround in the policies and perspective of this administration, including its dangerous rhetoric, I think he has no chance of getting the Latino vote in New Mexico or elsewhere in the country. This is the most anti-Latino, Latino-phobic administration in our history. His actions, his appointments demonstrate ongoing hostility toward our community, and by extension, ongoing hostility toward our most Latino states here in New Mexico. So I think his chances are very low of getting the Latino vote. He said the same thing last time, and we saw the results, an overwhelming vote against him in the Latino community.
This is a dramatic change from 2000 when then Texas Governor George Bush was seeking to make inroads in Latino communities and did, capturing around 40% of the vote. What has changed? What changed from that time to here?
Well, the rhetoric has changed and the policies have changed. And George W. Bush had a perspective in support of immigration reform and support of recognizing the contributions of undocumented immigrants who have contributed to our economy and our society without the protections of the law, and wanted to address that issue. Donald Trump has no interest in addressing that issue. Instead, we have been treated to a daily barrage of rhetoric demonizing immigrants from lawful permanent residents to the undocumented, really treating as non-human, subhuman, those who are approaching our border today in the long tradition of immigration to this country and who should be treated as refugees and instead are treated in very subhuman ways by caging children, separating families, and the like. We've seen policies like the changes in public charge that are designed to really demean and diminish the capability of immigrants to thrive in this country. So it's a change in the policy and the rhetoric in a very dangerous way and in a very demeaning way for the Latino community.
How confident are you that this rhetoric could possibly change in the next election?
I don't see any indication that it's going to change from Donald Trump or those who still are a part of his administration. He retains Stephen Miller, who is a known nativist, as a central part of his White House staff. What we've seen is exclusion and really discrimination against the Latino community in every aspect of the administration. Just one example, with the confirmation a few weeks ago of Eugene Scalia, the son of the late conservative Supreme Court Justice, as Labor Secretary, we now have a cabinet in this country that does not include a single Latino or Latina in it. You'd have to go back 3 decades to find a similar occurrence. And in those 3 decades, of course, the Latino community has grown to become the largest minority group in the country, and we're not represented in the cabinet of the United States. That has real impacts, but the symbolism of that is even more troubling.
Well, thanks for joining us, Tom.
Thank you.